Hi everyone. So as Jean said, I'm Valarie Swanson and I am a residential real estate agent with Century 21 Award. But tonight I'm talking to you from my past life, from when I was in marketing communications. And I still use a lot of marketing communications in my real estate business, and I use leverage that I'm going to be talking about tonight for my sales and for my own business and marketing myself and my business as well. And I'm hoping to give you some tools and some ideas that you can take away to your businesses. What I really hope to do tonight, my main focus is just to give you some inspiration. So I'm going to throw a lot of information at you and a lot of ideas and different tips and tools of how you can take one thing and leverage it and expand on it into other areas. And I don't want you to really feel overwhelmed by it, because it can be very overwhelming, the whole concept. So take a piece of it, take an idea and implement that. So really what I want to do is just inspire you in your business. So I'm hoping that you'll be able to take that away tonight, and maybe that'll take a little stress off of you when we go over the rest of the details too. Look for one idea. A little bit about me and my background, sort of where I came from and how I really discovered leverage, is that in marketing, when I worked in marketing for about 12 years, I always worked for very small companies. Usually they were roughly 10 people or smaller. So a lot of times I was the only person in the marketing department, department of one. But I had a lot of responsibility placed on my shoulders too, because when you have a small company like that, there aren't usually a lot of resources to put toward marketing. So my job was really to take a very limited number of resources and expand on that, and to compete against much larger organizations in my same industry and marketplace. So, companies that I've worked for in certain industries, I worked for a software company, major players in software, Microsoft and Microsystems, big companies. I also worked for a publishing company, and looking at magazines and publishing, this very competitive marketplace. So my job was always to take these small number of resources and to make our company look big and compete in that global marketplace in some instances with a very small budget, sometimes non-existent, and of course nobody to help you. So I learned leverage early on in my career, and then since then I learned to expand on that. So one thing I did, so one of the issues in small business marketing is to make yourself look big, and one of the ways you do that is to give yourself high quality look. Also using the tools of big business. So tools of big business would be, for instance, press releases, events, both small and large, depending on your budget and resources available to you, and white papers. In my industry, like in software, white papers were a very important tool, and I still find white papers, even in the consumer market now, to be very useful, because what a white paper does for you is establishes you as the expert in your field. And when I say white paper, people either one, don't know what the heck I'm talking about, or two, think, oh my god, I know what that is. It's like a 20-page document. How in the world am I ever going to write that? So a white paper is really just that. It's a long article that goes in depth into a subject matter, a very specific subject matter, and that would be in whatever industry you're in. And I'll talk a little bit about how you can write a white paper with no stress. So
that's good.
Another way that you can look big is, of course, to outsource your weaknesses. As a solopreneur, we're really good at what we do, our industry, what we're doing right now. But we're not experts in everything. So I have a marketing background, but I'm not an expert in graphic design. So I outsource my graphic design, and it looks really good when I do that. I can create a little postcard, but it's not going to look as good as if I were to send it out to an outsourced graphic designer. And that person's going to make me look top-notch. And it's worth a little extra money because now I'm perceived to be a much larger organization, much more polished, more professional. It's worth a little extra money. But it doesn't have to cost a lot, and I'll talk about that too. What you really want to do in a solopreneur business or a small business is focus on money-making activities. So do what you're good at. Don't focus and don't work on what you're not good at, and also focus on your money-making activities, which would be what brings in your business. Who are your customers, and are you talking to them? There's a saying out there that says that if you're doing the work of an assistant, you are the assistant. And that is not a money-making activity. And it's easy to get caught up in that. I know I do that sometimes myself because it's hard sometimes to pick up a call or to pick up a phone, make a cold call. In my case, as a realtor, I door knock, and that's a real stressful area. Walk up to some stranger's door and, hi, you want to buy some real estate. I don't say that, of course, but still, it's harder to do those money-making activities than it is to write up an email or, work on your files, type up labels so they look nice and neat and pretty. Those things are important. You need to be organized, but they're not money-making activities. It's not where your time can best be served. So you really need to focus on your money-making activities. And then it's all about your mindset. And this is my favorite part, I think, of what I'm talking about using leverage. Because when you are a small business or a solopreneur business, you're on your own, it's really easy to think small because you're just yourself. And it's hard to think like a big business. But without that thinking process, that big vision thinking, you can't grow. Because if you're constantly looking at yourself as a small business, then that's how other people are perceiving you as well. Because that's as far as you're going to grow, is as far as your mind will let you, as far as you're willing to see yourself, that's what other people are going to see in you. So if you're looking at yourself as a solopreneur in a small business, how will you grow to that next level? You're not thinking big enough. I was on a business planning teleseminar this morning, and we were talking about putting our business plans together for 2014. I have been working on my business plan, my marketing plan for the last 2 weeks already for 2014. And I am a big proponent of planning. But one of the things that he was talking about on that call was that the number one thing that he sees in business plans, and he sees probably thousands of business plans every year, is that the people that are sending in these plans aren't thinking big enough. They said, okay, I did 7 deals last year, and this year I'm going to do 10. They're like, yeah, and they're excited. And that's just not big enough. You can't have sustainable long-term growth if you aren't looking farther, if you aren't setting those big, audacious, goals for yourself. So when you're doing your planning and you're thinking ahead, really set the bar high and then fail miserably, and you'll do great. Set that bar for 50 deals that year, or you want to bring in 100 new customers. Set it really high, and then if you bring in 50, instead of 100, oh my gosh, that's terrible. I laugh all the way to the bank.
Yeah.
So set those big goals for yourself, and that mindset. Once you set it high, then your business follows. So I've talked a lot about leverage, and I keep using that word, and I know Gino's saying, oh, what does leverage mean? So leverage really means
That's me.
maximizing your resources. Sorry. Maximizing resources for maximum business impact. I'll say that again. Maximizing resources for maximum business impact. And what that means is maximizing financial, time, and creative resources. So if you're maximizing those 3 areas, then you are maximizing your business as a whole. And solopreneurs, of course, we have a real challenge in that, like I was saying, we know our business, but we have to have a real broad vision. So we have to have this, like I'm saying, big vision, this big goal ahead of us. But then when you start breaking down your business plan, you need to be able to implement on the finest level of detail as well, because you're on your own. So that's a real challenge for solopreneurs. But you shouldn't beat yourself up either, because that's the challenge that we all have in our businesses. None of us are experts in absolutely everything in our business. And that's why we need to outsource. We need to have outside resources come in and help us. So then learning to use leverage, it's imperative for staying sane. That was one of the comments that I made in my notes. Yes, you need leverage to stay sane. Because if you try to do it all, you're just going to drive yourself crazy. And you're going to be frustrated, and you're probably going to burn out, and then you're going to want to quit. So that's why using leveraged resources is very helpful. Time, of course, is in short supply. There's never enough time in the day to do it all. So looking to outside resources to help you, of course, will make you feel like you have more time, not only to spend on your business, but to spend with your family, free time. That's really important to have that. I hate to use the word balance, because I don't believe that life is ever really truly in balance. There'll be times when we have a lot of work to do, and you'll be working late at night, and you won't see your family. But then on the other side, once you're done with that, and you have that money in the bank, you can spend more time with your family, and maybe a little less time on work. So I think balance is more of it's an ongoing, long-term strategy rather than short-term, daily process. With entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, outsourcing, I know, can sound very expensive. That's way too expensive. I can't hire anybody. I can't hire an assistant. And you don't have to hire assistants. There's a lot of resources out there for you that still give you that help that you need in the different areas, including having someone kind of part-time on your staff, if you will. And I'll talk a little bit about that idea too. So leverage can be applied in two ways: content marketing and business support, which would be your finances and your time. And Gina, can I ask you to help me hand these out? Because on this handout, I go through both strategies, and I'll talk to you a little bit. This is kind of where it starts to get a little overwhelming. So that's why I'm giving you a handout, so you don't have to remember it all. It's just kind of be there.
Yeah.
What were the three things you wanted us to maximize on?
Yeah.
Time, finances, and content, which would be your marketing. So you're welcome. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about leveraging marketing content first. So this first side where it says leverage at the top. It starts with the plan. And like I was saying earlier, I'm really into planning. I come from a marketing background, always had a marketing plan, and our marketing plan always followed the business plan, no matter how large or how small the company was that I worked for. So planning is really important, but it's also important not to get caught up in the planning process. I'm guilty of it just as anybody else is, where getting ready to get ready to get ready. And I've heard this spoken to me before even, so I'm right there with you. However, we need to recognize that and then move forward from it. But it doesn't mean that you don't plan, you don't strategize. Because with a plan, that means that you are setting yourself up for success. It means that you don't have to think about what you're doing every single day. It means that it's already set there for you, and you build on that along as you go. And this is a tool, this little screenshot that's too small to read is actually a template, social media planning template that helps you plan out your messages for your social media that you can then put into Hootsuite or Twitter or directly into Facebook or any of your social media. But what this is, it helps you plan out your messages. So you keep your message consistent in your branding. So if you want this, I have it. I didn't create it. It's from HubSpot, which is a great marketing organization that helps small businesses that I highly recommend. But it's a free resource that they offer, so I'm happy to send it over to you if you want it. Just let me know afterward. So when it comes to leveraging content as in marketing, in my opinion, there's 3 ways that you can leverage content, or at least 3 ways that you can leverage content at any time. You never want to let a piece of content go to waste. So if you have a piece of content, which means you have an article or you have a video or a little podcast blurb. You need to take that and maximize on it every time you create a piece of content. So 3 ways to maximize on it. Share it. Take it onto social media. You can put it on Facebook. If you have a video, put it out on YouTube. Take your YouTube video and make a podcast of it. But take that and share it out every place that you can. Put it on your blog. Even if you have a video, you can put that on your blog still if you have one. But definitely you want to share it out and get it out there to as many places as possible. Put it in an email. Send it to your email list. The other thing is to change the format. So you have a video, change it into a podcast. If you have a podcast, have someone transcribe it, create an article from it. Take that and change the format. Don't just look at a piece of content, oh, it's written, so I can only share it in written format. Maybe you have an article, so instead of leaving it in its written format, you can speak it. Take a video and record yourself as a video, so you can take that content and change the format of it. And then I have cut it up or blow it up. So let's say you have a pretty long article. You've put a lot of heart and soul into it. You have this great article, and it's like 2 pages long, and it's great information. But there's a lot of different points that you've made throughout this paper. Take that and cut it into little bite-sized pieces and share those pieces on social media. Take those pieces and create little 30-second blurbs that are podcasts. There's a great tool that you can use for recording. Cut it up into little bite-sized pieces and share that out. Or, on the other hand, blow it up. Take those bite-sized pieces that you've created through social media, little short blog posts that you may have created. Maybe you've done some podcasts, little short, 1-minute podcast blurbs. Put them together and start to develop and grow and build an article from it. From that article, you create another article on a related topic and start adding the articles together. And as you add these articles together, you get your white paper. Told you I'd tell you how to get back to the white paper. So you build, little bits and pieces and you add them together. Now you have chapters. And chapters can become an ebook. Ebook can be shared out on Kindle. I know a lot of people are really excited about that concept. Kindle has really taken off. There's a lot of self-publishing out there. My only recommendation, because I read a lot of those Kindle books, because I get the little free books all the time, edit it, please. Oh gosh. My one complaint about free Kindle ebooks, not edited well. Hire an editor. They're not real expensive and well worth it. So that's some of the ways you can cut it up and blow it up. Take your content and really expand on it. So some of these I kind of have already gone over. I was talking about if you have an audio or video, take your 3-minute podcast, post links on YouTube, combine the podcasts into a CD. I know that some people, I know a hypnotherapist who puts together CDs. So this is a great tool for someone like that shares content and information verbally. Put these pieces together and share it on a CD. Combine them into a longer recording if you have several shorter ones. Build a landing page. This is a great tool for lead generation. Build a landing page on the internet. Share links to it through buying maybe a Facebook ads, and then send them to your landing page. And now you have a way to lead capture when people want to download your recording. And then, of course, you can record interviews, and then interviews, now you've taken off to a whole other set of content that you can leverage and slice and dice and share in different ways as well. Text can be transcribed into audio, or transcribe an article into audio. So like we were saying, you have an article that you've written, speak it, make it a podcast, make it a video, make it both. Share it out. Combine several articles into a longer article. White paper, we were just talking about that. and then take your quotes and snippets and post them out on social media. Presentations are another great thing that you can slice and dice and use all sorts of places. You can format articles into a full webinar. So if you've written a great article or white paper, take that, divide it into sections, have a graphic designer develop presentation slides for your topics, and now you have a webinar that you can share with your whole database and others. Of course, adding your landing page to do more lead capture for your webinar. There's free and very inexpensive resources for webinars that you can use. Don't quote me out right now. But, oh no, I take it back. Anymeeting.com is one of the sources for inexpensive webinars. And then take your presentation, and you can share your presentation in full on SlideShare. I think SlideShare.net. I think I have it here on the back. And then, of course, when you created your webinar, video it as you're recorded while you're doing your live webinar, and share it out on YouTube. Post it again behind the landing page for lead capture. Lots of ways you can use a presentation. And the last area that I wanted to talk about specifically was on infographics. Has anyone seen infographics? Infographics are kind of new. They started in the B2B realm, and they've sort of made their way into the B2C, business to consumer environment. I see them all the time now with different mortgage stats and real estate information. You know, why are people moving from one place to the other? So all an infographic is taking statistics that are really dry and boring and adding visuals to them, adding graphics so that they're interesting and visually appealing, and people want to read them. So, pretty simple concept. So if you have some statistics in your industry, you can put them together, send them to a graphic designer, and have that graphic designer build graphics around each of your statistic into one large graphic that you can now share through email, social media, and on and on again. And then, of course, you print it as a handout because we can still do our old traditional paper. So leveraging your time and money, I've given you a lot of ideas, especially this section here about different ways that you can leverage your marketing content. And I've talked about taking things and changing their format and such, and it sounds complicated. But this is where we go back to it's not your job, it's not a money-making activity, so you should not be transcribing what you've spoken. I'm not going to transcribe this video or this presentation. But if I want it transcribed, I'm going to go over to Fiverr. It's right there on the top of the list, fiverr.com, and I'm going to say transcription services. And I'm going to send this video to a transcription service, and for $5, they're going to send me back a transcription of everything I said. So Fiverr is a great resource. I've used them for my layout. I use them for graphic design. There's all sorts of weird stuff on Fiverr as well. People will do all sorts of strange things. They'll write things on their body and video it for you and random stuff. So, stay on this side, not on the weird side. But as far as business services, there's some really great professionals who are out there on Fiverr, and they do great work. So it's a matter of finding those professionals there and using their resources for $5, and that's within anyone's budget. Give up your Starbucks for a day and go get your business cards designed. Have them look great. So, great source. Odesk.com is a good professional services website. So if you want a virtual assistant, for instance, someone to help you do some of these more mundane tasks, more administrative tasks, go to Odesk and put out your project that you need to have done, and for a much lower price than maybe you could have just hiring someone locally. You can get the resources and the professional services that you need through Odesk. Audio Boo, that is the app for recording small snippets of audio. So that's where you can do your little quick blurbs, and then you can add them all together. to get your longer recording or your CD. Great app. Hootsuite is a great resource for putting your social media out there and planning it and having it scheduled. I know Gina used Hootsuite because I see that on her links, which is great because she was gone on vacation for over a week, and I'm still getting her Facebook posts. So it's a great resource. If you use it and you plan it and schedule it, it works for you. So use it. Instapage.com is a very inexpensive resource. I think it's about $9 a month for a number of different landing pages. That's where you can go in and create these landing pages. It's like drag and drop kind of editing, real easy to do. But again, that's not your job. So this is where you can find a admin assistant, someone through the virtual assistant resources to help you build that landing page. Let them know what you want. They'll go and do it for you. They're professional. Have them build your landing page. Tell them what you want and they'll put it up for you. HubSpot.com, that's just a really great resource for small businesses. I learned about HubSpot a number of years ago. I've been following them. They've been growing. But they have webinars that they put on a regular basis. They talk a lot about content marketing and teach you how to develop it, how to manage it, and just a really great marketing resource for small organizations. And then as you grow, they grow with you. So they have a number of services that they do, but they also have a number of free resources, great blog that you can just go to and learn from. So I would recommend getting on their newsletter list or their email list because they'll send you all sorts of great free resources and ebooks and information that you can use. And then SlideShare is the website that you would use to share your presentations online. So I was talking about the alternative source, how to get someone on your team without spending a bunch of money. If you go out to a local college, which we have a number of here, they have great kids, I say kids, who are really good at what they do, and they're very creative, and they're very energetic, and they want to establish themselves in the working world. But they don't have a lot of time either to do that. So they're a really good group of people to connect with, to share resources. You share knowledge, and they learn hands-on experience. So bring them in a couple days a week or a couple times a month to implement your marketing strategy, to implement your marketing plan. And you pay them, a reasonable wage, but it might cost you a couple $100s a month. And for a couple $100s a month, it takes several hours off of your plate, and it means that your marketing strategy and your marketing plan is going to get done because they're going to come in and you're going to pay them, and so you're going to make sure that your marketing plan is ready for them to implement. So it's a really good way to, number one, give yourself accountability, and then also get your marketing plan together and going on a consistent basis without a lot of money. Most of us can do a couple $100s to put back a couple $100s into our business in order to grow exponentially from that. So that is all I have for you this evening. I told you there's a lot of information, and I'm happy to answer any questions if you have.